Welcome to the Scoop School podcast, where we tackle your conundrums about the retail ice cream and frozen dessert business. And now, here's your host.
His iTunes playlist is all vanilla ice cream.
The ice cream bloke and self-appointed headmaster of Scoop School, Steve Christensen.
Hey ice cream lovers, Steve Christensen here, broadcasting under the arch, the gateway to the west here in St. Louis. Welcome to this episode of the podcast and simulcast. If you're watching on iTunes, we invite you to subscribe to our iTunes podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, we invite you to subscribe to our YouTube video series. Anyway, we want to thank our sponsor for this episode, which is Sweet Chills Brands and Miss Karen's Yogurt. Based on the West Coast, great job of making your base mixes, anything from frozen yogurt, gelato, all the way up to frozen custards. You need to really speak to Dawn at Sweet Chills Brand. She will steer you in the right way. And again, a great resource, particularly for those who are operating ice cream stores and frozen dessert stores on the West Coast of the United States. Great product, great support. Talk to Dawn, she'll set you right. Thank you for your sponsorship of this podcast episode. Now, I want to talk to you a little bit about time and temperature in this podcast, because time and temperature basically is everything we live by in the ice cream world. When we buy our bag of mix, our container of mix, our quart of mix, regardless of how it comes in, whether it's liquid or frozen, it has gone through the pasteurization process. And that pasteurization process relies on the elimination or the killing of bacteria, the cooking out of bacteria through a process of time and temperature. So I don't want to get hugely into the process of pasteurization, but there are generally three types of pasteurization. Vat pasteurization, its term is LTLT, or low temperature long time, not used very much in the mix industry anymore. Really the two most prevalent are your high temperature, HTST, high temperature short time, which is also known as a fresh mix, or your UHT, which is ultra high temperature. Now, HTST and UHT basically cook all of the ingredients that goes into your ice cream mix at a certain temperature and time. So for example, your HTST or your fresh mix is cooked at around about 180 or 190 for, let's say, anywhere between 5 and 45 minutes. And your UHT is generally cooking your mix anywhere around about the 260, 270, 280 degree Fahrenheit for anywhere between 1 to 3 seconds. The higher the temperature and that time and temperature relationship, the more bacteria it cooks out, so it gives you a longer shelf life. So you'll find that HTST is going to give you anywhere between 20 to 25 days, depending on the manufacturer, from the time they make it. And UHT is giving you up to 60 to 90 days. Again, the whole time and temperature relationship in the pasteurization process. Well, you need to be very well aware of what the time and temperature relationship is in your store. Because just like in the pasteurization process, bacteria basically multiply under conditions that are favorable for spoilage. So it's important for you to understand this relationship between time and temperature. It can be our best friend or our worst nightmare, depending on which side of this time and temperature relationship we fall. So if you've got heavy whipping cream and it's sitting out on the counter there, if you've got a dispenser like they have at Starbucks, ISI and cream whipping and all of those kind of things, if that's left on the counter without being refrigerated, you'll find that you'll find that that time and temperature relationship is slowly turning that mix bad, or it's decreasing its shelf life. Also, when you bring your mix in from the store or from the delivery guy, how long are you going to keep it on the counter there before you put it into the walk-in cooler or the walk-in freezer? So everything we do with the refrigerated dairy product, we need to be aware of time and temperature. Here's my recommendation. One of the things you should be doing when you first walk into your business in the morning, and one of the things you should be doing as you walk out, and many, many times throughout the day, is have a look at the temperature gauge of your freezers, whether they be a reach-in freezer, a walk-in freezer, your under-counter refrigerators, your walk-in refrigerators. Make sure that you have a gauge, a temperature gauge that's very easily read and easily seen. Now, many health departments in the United States and around the world require you to actually take a temperature check and record that temperature throughout the day. In fact, most franchises require their franchisees to do that I really would suggest you do the same. You may not have as such as a formal process as a franchise, but the first thing you need to do when you walk in the morning, check the temperature of the walk-in cooler, the walk-in freezer, all of your fridges and freezers. Now, if you've got a fridge or freezer that you either can't read the temperature gauge, or it's broken, or it's not really visible, I would spend the money to make sure that you do get a gauge that's easily read. It honestly will save you a lot of time and hassle, and it could save you some health department trouble if you've got an inaccurate or hard to read temperature gauge on your walk-in cooler, walk-in freezer, or any of your fridges and freezers. So what I want you to do is basically have a look, do an audit. Can you read the refrigeration gauge or the temperature gauge on all of your refrigeration and freezing equipment? If not, get it changed. And you should be recording regularly, if not recording, at least monitoring regularly the temperature of those refrigeration and freezing units. It'll save you a lot of angst. Thanks for tuning in. A quick one, and again, most of us are doing this, but if that's not in your daily routine, you really need to have it be so. Thanks for tuning in. Again, thanks for Sweet Chills Brands for their episode sponsorship. We'll see you in the next podcast/videocast.